and I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I am also a nurse practitioner, a psychotherapist, and a hypnotist. I've been in practice, as a nurse for over 40 years. And as a nurse practitioner for 30, I'll be honest. This is one of the Human Growth Factor meetings for the date of August 31st, and the meetings go from 7 to about 7:30 every Monday. The topic for today's meeting is mental health issues, and in specific issue, I would like to take this time to discuss with you my favorite forms of psychotherapy. And my two favorites are narrative therapy, or the therapy of stories, and the other one is called solution-focused therapy. So I'm first just going to briefly describe to you the one I use the most, and that is narrative therapy. On another evening, I'll go into detail about solution-focused. But tonight, this is about the stories you tell yourself that hurt you versus the stories you could be telling yourself that would empower you. I spend a great deal of time deconstructing a story, taking apart a poisonous story from a poisonous past, so that you can reconstruct it in your own mind in a way that gives you power. Now, I'm not expecting to change the past. I'm expecting to transform the past. And that's quite a different thing. So I realized that memories are memories, but the way you interpret them and tell yourself about them can change on a dime. And for most people, the stories that are hurting you the most are actually subconscious to your awareness. Now, this is a real problem for anyone who's not a hypnotist. Not too many people look into the subconscious mind, but a hypnotherapist always will look under the hood and try to trace back through your personal history to the very first time you created a narrative or a story that gave you emotional pain. Now, your subconscious mind, I like to compare to an elephant. 97% of your mind is subconscious to you. And the good thing about this huge 97% of your mind is that it has a photographic memory, just like an elephant. And it never forgets a thing, not from the moment of your conception. It is all archived down there somewhere. The problem is you can't access it. So especially as you get older, access to a lot of memories just kind of disappear. I confess. But long-term memories that are hurting you can easily access with a good hypnotherapist. So I use the narratives or the stories you're telling to be deconstructed if they're poisonous at the level of your subconscious mind, and not just the ones you know you're telling yourself with your conscious mind. Now, this is a 3% of the rest of your mind, and that is the part that is supposed to be the leader, the future, the creator, the generator, the decision maker, and the judger. 3% conscious mind. Unfortunately, this conscious mind is supposed to be riding the elephant, and instead of riding the elephant is actually riding the person. So you're stuck in a circle. Round and around you go, because you are not taking control of the elephant. The elephant does the only thing it can do, and that is repeat the past. Oh, brother. Now, this is great for waking up in the morning and speaking English. You really do not want to relearn English every day. This is also great for the maintenance activities that your autonomic or automatic nervous system conducts through the help of your subconscious mind. So blinking your eyes, eating your food, sweating your sweat, breathing your lungs, beating your heart, none of that is anything the conscious mind has to pay any attention to whatsoever, because you have this marvelous elephant just marching everything it learned yesterday into today. The bad part of this photographic memory is there's no judger in the subconscious mind. It has the intellectual capacity of an approximate 3-year-old. So it does not discern between your good memories and your bad, painful, toxic, poisonous memories. So all the stories you've ever believed about yourself or told yourself that hurt you are brought straight into the new day as well. What I enjoy teaching people to do is getting a hold of the memories that are buried deep within and transforming them, not changing them, transforming the memory into something that is useful, powerful, and serving the man, the 3% conscious mind. So I teach people how to ride the elephant. If you'd like to know a summary statement, I'm going to read you just a few definitions so you have them in mind regarding narrative therapy, because a lot of times people have never heard of that. So I'll just explain that in narrative therapy, there's a phase called problem formation. Like, where do your problems come from anyway? And essentially, the meaning of the problem is the problem. One of the experts in narrative therapy, named Dr. White, says that people come to therapy either when their dominant stories are keeping them from living out their preferred stories, or when the person is participating in the stories that he knows are not helpful, he or she, unsatisfying, and dead end. And these stories do not sufficiently encapsulate the person's lived experience, or are very significantly contradicted by important aspects of the person. So, to turn that into English, essentially, what you want to think and what you are thinking are two different things. Okay? St. Paul said it this way: why do I do what I hate? Why do I do that which I do not intend? And I do not do that which, the good that I do intend. So it's like caught between a rock and a hard place. The two minds are in conflict. So the second phase in discussing the problem is problem maintenance. After the problem has been formed, you maintain it. And they're all maintained through narrative discourse going on between your two ears, and also the stories that are reinforced in your conversations with others. So I don't know how many times you've heard your mother say in your own head, she could have passed on already for 20 years, but geez, with my own mother, all I have to do is think a little bit. I know exactly what she's going to say. You hold the memory. Finally, there's what they call problem resolution in narrative therapy. And this is to develop ways of thinking and acting that bring forth all of the discontinuous stories that hurt you and perform meaning on those stories so that they can be essentially eliminated and reconstructed. Okay, so it's deconstruction, reconstruction of what? A story. And for the most part, people think they really are who they are. They are not who they think they are. Who you think you are for yourself is simply a combination of all the stories you've ever heard about yourself, either around you or in you. So you are not who you think you are. You are the story you tell yourself about who you think you are. Now, the good news about that is if you don't like who you are, just change the story to preferred narrative, the story you want to be who you are. You change the narrative in here, so it actually has a chance to impact in here. And the way you access that subconscious mind is through a technique I've been teaching for several years, known as the Golden Key. Now, the Golden Key is a combination of narrative therapy, talking about the story you tell yourself, and self-hypnosis. So I think this is a relatively unique approach Could be others are also using something like it. But in narrative therapy, working with the subconscious mind, I would like to send you the basic handout that I send to all my patients regarding how to use self-hypnosis in the context of your spiritual orientation. I'm a Roman Catholic. I have absolutely no right in trying to convince you to be a Catholic or even a Christian. I just want to know, what are your spiritual beliefs and are you living them? Because a lot of times your personal pain, way down deep here, comes from what they call discontinuous identity. So you believe something should be a certain way, but you know that's not the way you're living. So it creates a dissonance, a house divided against itself, which cannot stand and leads to emotional misery. I'd like to go ahead and just read to you the very first part of what I teach people in the Golden Key. Okay, so again, this is narrative therapy, condensed down a great deal using hypnosis and your own personal spirit. I need you to find for yourself your spiritual values and then check in with yourself and see, where's the hypocrisy? Where's the emotional pain? Where's the dissonance? Okay. So the Golden Key itself is a book written in the 1930s by a Protestant Reverend, New Age Protestant minister named Emmett Fox, F-O-X. And you can order his book online even, I'm sure, Amazon, anytime you wish. I have condensed his entire book down to 2 pages. And I put it in the spiritual context of all of the letters of St. Paul. St. Paul is essentially the spiritual source behind Emmett Fox when he wrote this book. As a matter of fact, anybody who asks me for any kind of spiritual validation of what I'm about to describe to you only has to review the letters of Paul. For those of you who might be on the fence about any particular religion, agnostic, or even atheist, the technique is still valid as long as you have spiritual values. And this essentially is anything that you would call good. So even among all the atheists I've ever met, I have found them all to be moral people. And they still believe in something we call goodness. Now, the religious would call that goodness God, or some would call it goddess. And I don't particularly think that the divine cares what you call him or her, but call on him or her. In your own way, in your own manner, learn to ask for divine support in the transformation of your subconscious mind. That's essentially what I do for people. So I'm going to read this summary for you. Certainly feel free to look up the original. And this is how I apply it. Ready? Prayer will enable you or anyone else, sooner or later, to handle any difficulty on the face of the earth. It is the golden key to harmony and to happiness. Prayer is the mightiest power in existence. You need not take anyone's word for it. Simply try it for yourself and see. Whoever you are and wherever you may be, the golden key to harmony is in your hand now. This is because in prayer, it is God who works, or goodness that works, and not you. And so your particular limitations or weaknesses are of no account in this process. Divine action takes place, and your part is really just a willingness to give control of the final outcome of the matter to God and thank him or her for how he or she is going to deal with the problem. Then the peace of God, the peace of goodness, which is beyond your ability to understand, will protect your heart and your mind in Christ. It is absolutely essential to believe that God has your best interest in mind and will work all things together for the good of those who love him. As for the actual method of working with Golden Key, it is simplicity itself. All you have to do is this. After offering the difficulty in prayer and thanking God ahead of time for how he will handle it, stop thinking about the difficulty, whatever it is, and think about God or goodness, for goodness sake, goodness, instead. That is the definition of the Golden Key. I'm going to repeat it because I asked my patients to actually memorize it. Stop thinking about the difficulty, no matter whatever it is, and think about God instead. Okay? This is the complete rule, and if only you will do this, just this, whatever it is that is the trouble will presently disappear or cease to trouble you, even if it does not disappear. It really makes no difference at all what kind of trouble it is. It may be a big thing or a little thing. It may concern health, finance, a lawsuit, a quarrel, an accident, or anything else conceivable. But whatever it is, just stop thinking about it and think of God instead. That is all you have to do. Well, the thing could not be simpler, could it? Simply work by rehearsing anything and everything that you already know about God/goodness. God is wisdom, truth, and inconceivable love. God is present everywhere, has infinite power, knows everything, and so on. It matters not how well you may think you understand these things, so go over them repeatedly. Remember, if you're thinking about the difficulty, or if you go back to thinking about the difficulty, you're not thinking about God. It simply isn't possible. You can't think about both of them at the same time, okay? So, to be glancing over your shoulder, and a lot of us do that, as it were, in order to see how matters are progressing, that's fatal, because that is thinking about the trouble. And you must think about God. God is goodness. Choose your word. And nothing else. Okay. Huge spiritual discipline. If you can truly become so absorbed in the consideration of God's absolute goodness, power, love, and commitment to your welfare, that you really forget for a while all about the trouble, you will presently find that you are safely and comfortably out of your difficulty. In order to Golden Key a troublesome person, a troublesome relationship, a troublesome situation, just think, now I am going to Golden Key, and then the name of that troublesome person or situation, and drive all thought concerning that matter straight out of your mind. Okay? Now, it will tend to come back. I know it. So, when it returns to the back door, you become aware of it, you drop it again. After a while, your subconscious mind learns, oh, we don't do that one anymore. It will remain in your archive, but once it has left as an absolutely mandatory program you live by, you can now twist it, turn it, reverse it, inverse it. Do something to turn it into a powerful aspect for you in your life, as you would prefer to live it, and who you prefer to be in it. Okay? So, I'm trying to look at your last sentence. Do not worry about injuring anyone with Golden Key. You merely prevent them from harming you. and you do them nothing but good. Okay? Again, you may repeat the operation several times a day with intervals in between. Just be sure, however, each time that you have done it, drop it again until the next time it recurs. Now, we have said that the golden key is simple, and so it is. But of course, it is not always easy to turn. If you are very frightened or worried, it may be quite difficult at first to get your thoughts away from material things. But by constantly repeating some statement of absolute truth that appeals to you, such as, there is no power greater than God, or God is love, or God is guiding me now, or just God is with me. However dead or mechanical this phrase may appear to be to you, simply keep repeating it over and over. Do not struggle violently. Be quiet but insistent. Each time that you find your attention wandering, just switch it straight back to God. Do not try to think out in advance what the solution to your difficulty would probably turn out to be. Please leave the question of ways and means strictly to God. You want to have peace about your difficulty. That is sufficient. You do your part. God will never fail to do his. Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. That is the summary of Emmett Fox and his summary of Paul, the letters of Paul. So I have given you a Reader's Digest version of a Reader's Digest version of the Acts of the Apostles. In conclusion, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Now, something I have done that I used to help my patients is I've made an extensive list of all the things that Elizabeth Keller considers to be the goodness of God. Now, please, since this is the gospel according to Elizabeth Keller, if it doesn't resonate with you, then by God, it's not your God or conception of God. So, this is what the list is. I'll hold it up for you. There you go. And then I'll read it. It might actually appear reversed to you. That's not good. Like I said, if you email me, I'll send you just the whole set. So, God is light, power, compassion, mercy, harmony, kindness, justice, happiness, wealth, energy, life. God is perfection, innocence, the strength of faith. God is my defender, my destiny, the rock of my salvation, the source of all wonder, the source of all courage. God is grace, eternal love, peace, joy, wisdom, knowledge. God is truth, honor, serenity, providence, health, freedom, beauty, purity, my hope, my protection, my home. All science is God. The divine order and the divine flow. Aspects of God. All goodness is God. The names that have been used for God among the Judeo-Christian tradition is Yahweh. This is from Exodus, the book of Exodus, where Moses was speaking with God, and he was commanded to go back to the Hebrew people and free them from captivity in Egypt. And he said, I'm not going in my own name. I am not. He'd been exiled by the Hebrews from Egypt because in a fit of rage, he had murdered a Hebrew. Oh no. That's why he was in exile up in the mountains and he could hear the voice of the divine. Anyway, the voice that spoke to him said, tell the people that I am who am sent you. And the translation of that is Yahweh. In the latter centuries of the Jewish tradition, it actually became prohibited to pronounce the name. It was just the initials that were used. The focus for me as a clinician is this whole thing about who are you? What is your beingness? Who is the core of you? Not from your perspective, but from the divine perspective. I tell people no matter how much you think you are who you think you are, you're not who you think you are. You are who God thinks you are. Now, since you don't have a clue, I suggest you stop judging yourself. You're not qualified. On my next mental health issue, I am actually going to take you through a 4-step procedure, 1, 2, 3, 4, for applying the golden key for self-hypnosis. And obviously, if you need more information, text me, email me, let me know, and I'll answer your questions without any difficulty as soon as I get them. I would like to just repeat in case you don't know, my email is lifemotivationssa@gmail.com. My cell phone, which is only good for texting, is 210-473-1619. And I just encourage you, be well. Be the power of the love you are. Thank you so much, and bye for now.